we're going to continue talking about some controversial issues that affect labor and management. There's about five that are major, but we still have the ones we just talked about. We also have other ones that are out there as well. And it's going to be germane just to you and the type of work that you do. One of them that affects an awful lot of people is 70% of women would have children under the age of 18. So single parents a lot of times falls on women far more than it does men. So you have that kind of an issue out there that's really a big inequity because it costs an awful lot of money for childcare. Childcare is outrageously expensive, except for the fact that you say outrageously, but do you want the best care for your child? So they're all out there, and the people at the child care center, they're trying to make a living wage just as much as everybody else. So this is an issue. Who should pay for it? Should the employer pay for it? Charge them more money. Pass the law. Yes, let's have the employers more regulated. I'm not certain we need more regulations. We just need to sit down there and address this on a regular basis. A lot of companies have childcare in-house, which is fabulous, and it really can help an awful lot and actually improve your workforce and also ease the minds of an awful lot of people. There is a full-blown crisis a lot of times of, you need to be here by 6 o'clock or we'll charge you more money. It's not fair to the child. You have that going on. And so there's that ticking clock in the background in a lot of people's lives. It is really, really tough. Childcare, we need to sit down and start focusing more as to the employer, what the employer should do, how we can deal with this, even as a college in regards to that. Elder care. If you are a baby boomer right now, this is a giant issue. You might have somebody going through right now. We have somebody in our family, 102 years old, and it costs over $6,000 a month just to deal with that. That's a massive amount of money that's coming out of the pocket to cover that. Elder care is huge. It costs 34 billion annually and reduces a lot of productivity, but we really need to take care of the older people in our society. So how do you go about doing that? How do you provide that type of family care and continue working? If you're working, it really does make it very difficult to do, or even if you're not in the process. So you have that. So elder care, 31% of the people end up delaying retirement as they're taking care of somebody in their family. It's a big issue. Sometimes it's a matter of if you can stay home, life is good. If you can't, you're going to spend an awful lot of money every year for childcare. Another one is drug abuse and drug testing. I'm not quite certain why people use drugs. It just depends. Sometimes you have heavy drinkers too, which is actually a drug all by itself. But the reality is, if you have somebody coming in to work with this, sometimes, depending on the job, they can die. I had a maintenance worker, and one time we had a crisis, and everybody is in the kitchen unloading the freezer because their freezer broke, and we had $35,000 worth of food melting on us. So we had a refrigerator truck. So everybody is out there, and I asked where this one guy was, and they said, I don't know. No, nobody would tell me. And when I found him back in the corner of the boiler room because of the fact that he had been drinking the night before, and you could smell it coming through his skin, and he was sleeping on the job. So I sent him home, and we had to deal with it later on. Drug abuse is real. Drugs in the workplace are real, and people can get hurt for real. So this is an issue. When you talk about drug abuse, it costs about $820 billion in lost work, healthcare, crime, traffic accidents. That's part of the human cost of drugs. If we can stamp this out, it would be good. I'm not certain we can because somehow there's an allure to go into the aspect of illegal drugs or even legally getting drunk. The aspect of coming to work with a hangover is really inappropriate and shouldn't be taking place. And if you're in a position of authority, you have to deal with it. Drug testing, sometimes you have illegal drug use. You have a disparity over issues like marijuana between the states and the federal. With the federal law, it's still illegal. With the states, many states, United States now have legalized the use of marijuana. And so you have a conflict there and other things with it. Another one that's coming up is violence and bullying in the workplace. The gal that was running one of our big shows in Hollywood, she was terminated because everybody viewed her as a bully. So just before they came out, they terminated her, and that upset the whole program. But the program became better because she was gone, because she was a bully in the process. So how do you go about doing that? OSHA reports about for 9% of all workplace deaths. That's a lot of that's a big percentage. So you have that in the workplace as well. So you have different aspects. The bullying part, who needs to sit down? It's just as bad as sexual harassment. It's a matter of that you do this or whatever. But sometimes the bullies that are out there, and sometimes they hold positions maybe they shouldn't have. So you have different things. Workplace violence, really it's big. It's an unprovoked outburst of anger or rage, threats, abuse, suicidal comments, paranoid behavior, domestic problems. A lot of it, people bring a lot of things from outside into the workplace because they've spent a lot of time in the workplace, sometimes more in the workplace than they do in their own homes. So that being said, how do you separate that, or what steps can be done to make certain that you have a good employee stay good and not go through this type of issue? Or if you have somebody with anger or rage, how do you deal with them? It's pretty scary to have that happen. Workplace injuries. This is a big deal. Overexertion. Look at all the money. Falls. Falls are very expensive. Slip or trip is a big thing. Repetitive motion. You have to pay attention to your employees as to what the different workers' compensation costs are. And if you ever have an opportunity to sit on a workers' compensation committee to find out what's going on out there and how you can make a difference in the workplace, I found it to be really helpful, helping a lot of people avoid injury in the workplace. So watch out. Workplace injuries, there should at least be an annual inspection between the company and its workers' compensation insurance company where you walk through the property and start getting things fixed so that way people don't get injured. You should have a safe workplace to come and work. There's a lot of controversial issues out there where even when we solve one or two of these, we'll have other ones crop up to replace them because that's part of being human. So some of the issues to worry about here: childcare, elder care, drug testing, the difference between the federal and state standards, workplace bullying, injuries, and violence in the workplace. All these are controversial issues. And the aspect of you being in leadership, when you rise up to that level, you can sit down and start handling some of these problems in the workplace because they're there. And some of the solutions are relatively easy, some are much more complex, but regardless, listening to employees, sitting there responding to them on a regular basis is really a major part of leadership. And hopefully you're getting part of that too. And you too can lead and help stifle some of these controversial issues. Take care.